Loren, legislation has passed again that changes the landscape of retirement again.
Again is key there. It feels like it wasn't that long ago we were talking about breaking news, Secure Act 1.0. It changes how people inherit IRAs, and here we are 3 short years later. We're talking about breaking news, Secure Act 2.0, and all of the ramifications that this legislation is going to have. We're talking 300 pages of legislation, including over 90 retirement planning provisions.
And don't worry, we're not going to talk about all 90 provisions. Today we want to talk about the ones that we feel will impact you the most. And the first one we want to make sure that we discuss in this episode, Haley, is the RMD change.
The RMDs are changing. So it was once 70.5 and then 70.5, and then Secure Act 1.0 changed it to 72, and now it's 73. So the RMDs, this is very confusing for a lot of people because what's happening is that the custodians aren't necessarily getting this information out quickly. And so they're sending out this form that says, hey, you're mandated to take an RMD, when really you may not be mandated to take an RMD because it did get pushed back to age 73. So it's wildly confusing. You may be getting some mixed messaging, mixed signals. That's important to talk with a planner to see if you really are truly mandated to take out an RMD based on the most current updated legislation changes.
Okay, so if you got a letter in the mail that says you're supposed to take your RMD, that could not necessarily be true, because let's make sure we were crystal clear on what the new rules are and when they went into effect.
Yeah, if you receive a letter in the mail saying you have to take an RMD, if you've already been taking RMDs on your accounts, then you need to continue taking your RMDs. So this confusion is really applying to those who were going to turn age 72 this year in 2023. So if you're turning 72 this year, you were, underneath the old legislation, you were supposed to start your required minimum distribution, or your RMD. But because the Secure Act 2.0 was passed in December, right before Christmas, the custodians, the places where your money is at, the TD Ameritrades, the Charles Schwabs, the Vanguards, they haven't had a chance to update their records, and so they're pushing out these automated generated letters saying that you're required to take out a distribution, where in fact you are not.
Okay, so we're going to focus on RMDs today, but we're going to do 2 parts on Secure Act 2.0. In the second episode, we'll talk about Roth, the changes to Roth, and the changes to catch-up contributions, and the changes to 529 plans. So let's back up just a little bit. We kind of got to the changes on RMDs, but I think it's worth reminding everybody exactly what an RMD is and what accounts an RMD applies to.
RMD stands for Required Minimum Distribution, and if it's your account, once you reach a certain age, so for some of you it's 70.5, for some of you it's 72, now for some of you it's 73, and for many of you younger individuals, it's going to be age 75, much later down the road. You are going to be mandated to take out a small distribution based on your life expectancy, or the IRS life expectancy table. And the whole reason that this is a mandate is because when you started investing in your pre-tax 401ks or your pre-tax IRAs, you made a deal with the IRS saying you're not going to pay taxes on that contribution. You're also not going to pay taxes on the growth until one day much later down the road you take that money out as income, and then you're going to pay taxes on the money you put in, as well as the growth when you take it out. So the required minimum distribution is saying it's a way that the IRS knows that they're going to be able to charge a tax on that money, because even if you haven't started taking distributions at 70.5 or 72.3 or 75, they're going to mandate you take money out, because then they can tax you on that distribution.
The government does kind of make a lot of rules about what we have to do with retirement. So when they keep changing things like this, Loren, why should people care?
Well, it's one thing when you want to take money out from your pre-tax accounts. It's a whole nother different game when you're mandated to take distributions out from your accounts. And then on top of that, these distributions that you have to take out are now going to be taxed at your ordinary income tax bracket. And at RMD age, you're already taking your Social Security, which you're not going to turn off. You don't want to turn off. Maybe you have a pension, not going to turn that off. All that's taxable income. Add on the required distributions to that, it can create a mess in a hurry. Which is why, Haley, I think you put together a really nice example of how when you take control over your tax situation versus when you don't, it can have a big outcome in retirement.
It can. So let me show you, because This is why we start planning for our family's RMDs far in advance. So this is a real life situation, but I'm just gonna call her Mary for simplicity purposes. And when I met with Mary, she told me, she's like, Haley, I'm not worried about running out of income. I'm single. I know what my budget is. But after you were talking about taxes, I realized that that can have a huge impact for me because all I have done is save and save and save in this pre-tax 401k. And I know that when I hit age 73, I'm gonna be mandated to take this out. So this is what I showed Mary. Mary, this is with no tax plan, no tax planning strategies involved. And currently she is still working. So each one of these blue bars, what they represent is the amount of taxes that Mary would pay in that year. And so if she's still working and plans to retire at 2024, that means that these two blue bars are gonna be a bit higher because she still has W-2 wages. But then when she retires, look what happens to her tax bill. It goes down. And the reason why is because she doesn't have any earned income anymore and she's just living off of what she needs. So her CPA is honestly probably throwing her a party over these next several years because her retirement tax bill is so low. But then guess what happens when Mary turns age 73? Her retirement tax bill shoots up sky high and it never comes back down. And this is what we're referencing as that tax torpedo because now Mary has pension income, she has Social Security income, and she has these big RMD mandates that she has to take out, and she loses control over these retirement tax bills for the rest of her retirement. So what I told Mary is, hey, this is where we have opportunity. This is where we can implement some effective tax strategies like Roth conversions, and we can do something about this retirement tax torpedo later on in retirement. And this is what that looks like. So each year, what we're doing is we're doing a Roth conversion and we're maximizing her income tax bracket. And so every single year, we're choosing to pay more in taxes, but it's the saying, short-term pain for long-term gain, because look what happens to her retirement tax bill when she turns age 73. Now she's not mandated to take as much out because she did all the work within these years to shift that money over from a pre-tax account over to a Roth where it can now grow tax-free. And the difference between these two pictures is about $400,000. So could you imagine $400,000 that you no longer have to give to the IRS, and it's now in your pocket for your retirement.
Thank you for watching this clip of Retiring Today, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have questions about your retirement plan, take advantage of the complimentary 15-minute retirement checkup phone call.